I'm here to address the situation of California's wasteful spending. A new bit of information has come out that the interim segment of high-speed rail that's going to be built between a town called Merced down to another one near Bakersfield called Shafter. This segment would end in an almond orchard out there in the middle of nowhere. That the price for that segment has gone up to about $38.5 billion just for this segment, which is going to be in a low population area comparatively, when the whole concept for California high-speed rail was one that would go from San Francisco to LA, the population centers. And the original cost, I'll remind you too, when it was placed on the ballot in front of the voters, was that it would be $33 billion to build the entire system from SF to LA, not just that 150-mile or so segment between Merced and Shafter. So who's being shafted in this deal? Of course, the taxpayers, as always, since in their quest to not let this go, to not let it die, they're going to continue to seek more and more money for this project. Now, in the 17 years since this was passed and placed on the ballot in front of the voters, and it won by a very narrow margin, 2 or 3%, to have an initial $9 billion bond of state money go towards the $33 billion, and then the rest would be raised from the private sector. That price is today seen as $128 billion. In that 17 years, they've only managed to raise $17 billion or so towards the project. In 17 years. So since the project is about $110 or so billion short, where are they going to get $110 billion more dollars when it took them 17 years to raise 17? Where is that going to come from? California has a scheme called the cap and trade tax that taxes the privilege of making carbon dioxide if you're a manufacturer or some other large entity that produces carbon dioxide as a byproduct of your industry. Well, let me remind you, carbon dioxide is only 0.04% of the atmosphere. All these things being done to cut carbon, including this whole rail project itself, supposed to be a big carbon saver. They're chasing a goal that's incredibly small, incredibly out of touch. So here we are. They're going to come to Washington asking for more and more money. So far, 2 Democrat presidents have given the project about $3.5 billion on one occasion each. So they're going to fall far short of raising $110 billion more, since cap and trade, as I mentioned in California, only brings in about $1 billion per year of taxation on CO2, and they managed to get a couple of $3.5 billion segments from the U.S. government. So it's a long ways from getting done. We should be solving other issues in California instead of building this dream rail system running through the middle of communities, having to take so much land by eminent domain, messing up farmland, messing up the middle of the cities that it's going through, having to take out a high school in one case, a rendering plant in another case. All these things that are making it actually worse for people, so they can have the idea of, oh, we got to be like China and have a high-speed rail system. It isn't working out in California. It won't work out. The price is horrendous. And the tickets themselves for people to be able to ride the train are going to be a lot more expensive than what they're trying to tell us they will be, especially when you have low-cost airline tickets like Southwest and others going back and forth pretty often. Why don't we solve other problems like California's water issues, water supply? For that kind of money, you could build 26 new dams that would hold who knows how many acre feet, many, many millions of acre feet. Let's just try and build 2 or 3 dams that will hold 3, 4, 5, 6 million acre feet and solve California's water problems, solve California's continued transfer of agricultural water to fish supplies. We could actually get something useful done. And also, people that use the roads and the highways and the freeways would probably like to see some of the potholes, for example, that always gets worn into the right lane of a freeway. Maybe we get some of those fixed. Maybe we could add lanes here and there where there's more dense traffic with a fraction of that money, because no one's going to ride this thing for the cost and for the time it takes to still get back and forth between SF and LA, and they don't have a car at the other end. You might as well take the airplane and save money and get there even faster. Mr. Speaker, of all the things we could be investing in, whether it's water supply or managing our forests better so we don't have to burn them down every year and suffer with air quality that we have Each year there's a million-acre fire, including the Dixie Fire in my district about 4 years ago that hit this town. The smoke plume hit this town because we don't manage the forest. There's so much other things we could be doing besides high-speed rail. I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Siscomani, for 5 minutes.